A team that barely survived Scary Hour Saturday was Clemson. They beat Wake Forest 51-45 in double OT. They went to Wake, got out of there with a W. And, I mean, Clemson said it all week. They have the belt. They have the Atlantic belt. We want that back. So Dabo continuing to preach, little old Clemson. No one's giving us a shot. No one thinks we're any good. They find a way to get it done. We're going to unpack more so what this means for Clemson. Wake Forest played a phenomenal game, but Clemson, I think, is the real story here because the entire narrative around Clemson going into this season was, hey, that defense is good. That defense is going to keep them in a lot of games. Can the quarterback be good enough? I don't know. Might be Cade Klubnik by game 4. What happened in this game? We'll start with the defense. Defense struggled, which sounds fairly obvious. We're going to go into that a little bit more. Gave up 45 points. Sam Hartman was dealing like he was at a blackjack table, just passing out touchdown passes. Threw for 6. That was a school record. He was on. The concerning thing for me is the back end of this defense was playing man the majority of the game. And every single time it felt like Sam Hartman went deep, it was either just a moss on your head top kind of catch, or it was a pass interference against Clemson. I know they're younger. I know they're beat up back there. But Clemson was very fortunate to win this game given the secondary play that they did. On top of that, the front 7 wasn't really getting home. And that was one of the key variables we were watching going into this game. That was a hinge point for us. Wake Forest loves to do that sort of slow RPO, take their time. Those freak shows up front for Clemson, they got a lot of them. They're going to get home a fair amount, right? Well, not really. They sacked them twice, but that ultimately felt like a non-issue for the majority of the game for Wake Forest. They weren't really looking all that concerned about the pass rush. So the defense has got to take a look in the mirror. I don't pretend to know the exact schematics of what Clemson's trying to do defensively, but I did see a lot of man coverage, and I was seeing a lot of man-to-man matchups being lost. Does that look different next week? For Clemson's sake, you sure hope so. Because they got NC State next week with the eyes of the country on them. So that's going to be something to watch. But let's talk about the good for Clemson, right? Because the narrative was kind of reversed. Defense is going to be great. Offense is going to be Can they be good enough, was what we all said. Can they be good enough to win some games? Well, DJ Uiagalelei, I promise you, even though he's got that Beats NIL deal, he still heard all that talk. Big Cinco is just sort of biding his time this offseason, just waiting for his chance to pop and play in a game. And to be fair, up to this point, he hadn't really been outstanding. He hadn't thrown for over 300 yards. He had been relatively efficient. He had been, for the most part, pedestrian. I cannot stress this enough. For those of you that think Cade Klubnik is the best option for Clemson going forward, he's the future at Clemson. But yesterday, if Cade Klubnik is the quarterback, you don't win that game. DJ Uiagalelei took over. He absolutely took over. Threw 5 touchdown passes, 371 yards. Probably the most impressive play to me of the day was that 2-point conversion where he throws off one leg. He's got another grown man just grabbing his ankle as he's getting the pass off. There's a 2-point conversion. DJ Uiagalelei, his maturity and his presence in the pocket was really impressive yesterday, and that willed Clemson forward. On top of that, the length of this receiving core from Clemson. They showed up in a big way yesterday because we've all talked about this Clemson receiving core, not necessarily having somebody to take the top off the defense, not having that burner. Didn't matter yesterday. Found a way to get it done. The defense was down. The offense picked them up. It's the mark of a great team. Now, I'd be remiss if I don't mention Will Shipley, who is a certified dog. Over 100 yards rushing, added a lot of balance to that offense, allowed DJ Uiagalelei to do what he ended up doing. But we need to start taking Clemson a little bit more seriously. Because there's a couple of things elite teams do. We talked about it with Tennessee, but talking about Clemson, they found a way to win when the strength of their team wasn't their strength. When that defense wasn't playing like how we all expect them to, they still found a way to win the game. Now, here's my question. Defensively, is that who you are? Is that going to be who you are the rest of the way where you can't play man-to-man coverage, and if we want to go deep on you, we can? Because they got some pretty good quarterback and wide receivers they got to play the rest of the way. They got to play Florida State's Johnny Wilson, who feels like he's 8 feet tall. Promise he'll give you issues in man-to-man if you don't want to play better. Devin Leary for NC State. You got him next week. you don't shore up the secondary, you're going to have problems. So for Clemson, is this who they are? Maybe they're just a step slower on the back end, and if the front seven doesn't get there, oh, well, we got issues? Or is this a game where, hey, we just didn't have it that day, went on the road, got out of there with a win. Win ugly. Another thing that great teams do. Because I promise they're going to get tested the rest of the way. And DJ Uiagalelei, yes, won the game yesterday. He willed them to win that game yesterday. I don't think this is the formula you want to play with going forward. I don't think you want to ask him to throw for 5 touchdowns and over 350 yards. Because if that's how you live and die, it's going to be an on and off again season. And that's more pressure than you want to put on DJ. I'll finish with this. Talking about DJ, there is so much expectation around him to step into the shoes that those previous guys at Clemson had. Talking about Taj Boyd, talking about Trevor Lawrence. That's what you're used to when you watch Clemson football. That's not who DJ is. Was he that way yesterday? Oh, yeah. He can be that now and then, but they're not going to ask him to be 5-6 touchdown DJ. They're going to say, hey, get the ball to your playmakers, make the right read, don't turn the ball over, make plays with your legs. You're a big dude, big Cinco, go make big things happen, okay? In key moments. So I think the sentiment for Clemson is you found a way to win without your fastball. And you will always take a win, but you want to have your fastball more often than not. They better have it because they've got some really good passing combos coming into Clemson and going on the road for Clemson. So we're going to keep an eye on this, but overall, they win a thriller in double OT, 51-45. The Tigers get it done. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.